Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to do a garden tour of one of my favorite annuals, that is the no-fuss, low maintenance, easy peasy, but absolutely gorgeous and stunning, and every warm, humid climate gardener should have this in their garden. What am I talking about? If you're a regular viewer of Gardening with Creekside, you probably already know. Yes, my friends, we're talking about caladiums. Caladiums are just one of the best plants to use in your garden in the summertime. I adore it. I love it. You know I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop around the garden because it is mid-August here in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Heaven knows that we are dealing with the heat and humidity, and this is the time of year that caladiums really shine, because these great annuals, and they are going to be annuals unless you really live in the deep, warm climates of the United States. So my people in like southern Florida, even like the deep south. So if you're in the really warm zones of like Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, all of those, then you're gonna have caladiums that can come back from year to year. But for the vast majority of us, even in North Carolina, they don't survive the winter. I can leave them in the ground, I can leave them in a pot, and they don't overwinter because it's too cold and too wet and they rot. But these are just such great, gorgeous colors of annuals that give us such interest, and so easy. Bugs don't really like them. You don't really have to fertilize them a lot. So much fun. So we're gonna go around the garden, look at all the different ones to give you ideas. If you're like us, you still have plenty of time to add some to your garden because they're super easy to add to your garden. If not, then go ahead and make notes and be thinking for next year, right? So it's never too early to be thinking of next year's gardens. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna head over to the signature garden because of course there's gorgeous caladiums in there as well. But we've had a little bit of a catastrophic event, and so we're going to share that with you and tell you what has happened and what our plan is to fix it, because this is something, whether you have a display garden or you just have a regular garden, this absolutely could affect you as well. So we want to share our catastrophe with you so that hopefully that you can learn from what has happened to us. But first, caladiums. Here I am, standing right along the forest pansy bed, and y'all, you know, I tell my friends when they come over, I'm like, if you're a good close friend, then you know that because Jenny didn't do a ton of like cleaning and tidying up before you came. So this bed has not been tidied up. You're gonna see weeds in here. This is real life gardening. Generous gardener here. She needs to be put back on the trellis, but it's okay. We're all friends and family here, so we're gonna share that together. Now, believe it or not, what you're looking at right here is a container. You were with me. I think we planted this together back in the spring. So this is actually a unique stone. This is the rectangular hummingbird feeder, not feeder, I always say that, rectangular hummingbird planter. So there really is a container in there. These are not planted directly in the ground. What we have is a Rocapuco impatient on each side, the Euchera, and then I think this is called Vava Violet. Now this is considered a shade caladium. Now I know you're thinking, Jenny, you're in the full sun. I can see your shadow. Like, what are you talking about? Remember, full sun is 4 hours or less of sun. Let's see if I can get this so that I don't have my shadow in it. All right. That may be better. So shade gardens are 4 hours or less. It is about 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning. And so this is the full sun that it will get. Then it goes into shade. But even your shade caladiums can handle some sun. Now, would this do well in a hot afternoon sun area for 4 hours? No, it would not. But my gosh, y'all, look at that. Is that not gorgeous? And believe it or not, the double impatiens behind this is the apple blossom. That is in the ground. So that gorgeous impatient is planted in the ground. It is not in the container. It's planted right behind it. But that's the beautiful thing about caladiums. You can mix and match them with other plants. You can put them in the container, or you can come right over here and see that we have got, this is White Star, around the base of the Generous Gardener here. And y'all, look at the size of that caladium. This is one caladium. Is it not massive? And yes, we do have a support here for the trellis, so that's the arbor, so you see that. But look how massive this is, that leaf. That's my hand. Look how big it is. Is it not happy? So we planted 3 of them right here together, and they are doing so well. So this one, White Star, is rated for both sun and shade. So that's the one thing that I do, well, there's a lot of things, but one of the main things that I love about the Proven Winners, the Heart to Heart Caladiums, is that so many of them are rated for full sun. I think we traditionally think of Caladiums as being for shade gardens only. This new breeding has them where they can do sun or shade. And when I say full sun, I mean full sun. Right now, this one is in the shade, but as soon as the sun gets on the other side of the rose arch, this will be in full sun, and they are going to be stunning. Now, if you grow coleus, it's kind of a caladium's kind of like a coleus in the fact of if you have a caladium that can do sun or shade, you might get a little color variation if it's in full sun versus full shade. So just keep that in mind, that maybe your the plant doesn't look exactly like the picture on the tag, because that could be dependent on your sun. So you're gonna have a little variation. I personally love that because it's like you can get a 2-for-1 plant, right? So depending on where you put it, you can get a little bit of color difference. But caladiums, so gorgeous. This one particular, like this specific specimen right here, clearly loves this spot. It is on irrigation. The ones in the ground are on irrigation. The one that is in the container right over there that we just looked at is not on irrigation. So it just kind of gives you a little tit for tat. Of course, if you've been following us, you know that we've had tons of rain. So I haven't had to been watering the one in the caladium, in the container. There we go. Let's move around the back because you know I've got more to show you. Here we are on the back patio, and you can see that I have got caladiums hanging in baskets. That is actually, I believe, the same caladium that we were just looking at, White Star. And so caladiums do amazing in hanging baskets. So you can put them in those hanging baskets, whether it's for sun or for shade. You will love it. It is so easy. And they are, I wouldn't say they're drought tolerant, but they definitely are not water hogs. So when you have them in that hanging basket with, like you can see that this is like a cocoa lined basket, they're much more forgiving if they start to get a little dry. Obviously, these I have to water. I don't have them hooked up on irrigation, so I have to hand water them. And right now, I'm probably watering them every 3rd day, I would say. Maybe they would be fuller if I was watering them more consistently, but they are doing quite well. You were with me when we planted the red caladiums here in the landscape, right? And they're doing okay. They are hanging in there. They're doing well. The cleomes definitely are taking over. This is, talked about this before, right? The Senorita Rosalita cleome. Y'all, like, this is one plant, right? And this is one plant. Now, yes, they are quite aggressive. So each of these are just one plant that I planted between the boxwoods and the camellias. And so, oh my gosh, they're gorgeous, but I'm like, y'all need to tamp it down a little bit. So the caladiums are doing well. They have some little Senorita Rosalita confetti on top of them, but they are doing quite well. And then over here, of course, we planted some more along this line as well between the roses and the boxwoods. So they're hanging in there. We only planted these about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So they're doing well. Again, not on direct irrigation. We've been getting so much rain that they are doing quite well. We did not get rain last night, but you can see that they have got some little dew on them. Again, love, love, love the humid weather. You can really see them grow right before your very eyes. All right, let's head over. I've got another gorgeous one in a container that is on the driveway side. So let's head over there. Here at the garage, on each side of the garage, I have a unique stone container on the pedestal, and I switch these out pretty regularly depending on the season. So in both of these, I have the Fast Flash Caladium. So I wanted to share these with you because, one, they're gorgeous, right? So caladiums will come in all sorts of colors, whether it's the whites, the greens, the reds, the pinks, the purples, you name it, they come in all the different colors. And this was one 8-inch container that I planted in there and doing well. Now, with your caladiums, you might see, and you're going to see rather, that they're going to have some old foliage off to the side. That is completely totally normal. And guess what, y'all? It just pulls right out. So the plant is constantly making new leaves. So where you have some of those older leaves, right, and you just come through every once in a while, like right here, you can see on the edge of the container, and you just grab them, and then if they're ready to come out, they literally just pull right out. So they're super easy to clean up, and you might, think, oh my gosh, well, no, they really are continuing to put on new foliage, because when you go down there and look, you can see that there's little baby leaves down in there. There's some that are unfurling right here. So that's what they do, is they just constantly are creating new fresh leaves. So that's totally normal and totally just go in there every once in a while. When you're walking by and you think about it, just grab them and kind of pull them out. Now over here, okay, so let's do this again. We got another one, and this is the same one that I have on the back porch. Now, this one is going to be more shade, because this is such an interesting container right here, that in the fact of it stays in the shade for the vast majority of the day. However, because of the way our roof line is, it will get afternoon sun on this corner, like hot, intense afternoon sun for a couple of hours. And so you can't really put full shade plants in here. I had some of the double impatiens. They were doing well, but I don't know if y'all have experienced this. If you have silver falls, this thing is quite a water hog, and it will take all the water out of your containers. And so my poor little double impatiens were struggling because they were fighting for water from the silver falls. The caladiums, on the other hand, are doing such a lovely job and have filled in quite nicely. I love the caladiums with that silver falls. And if you do have silver falls, do not be afraid to come in and give it a haircut on the bottom. I have already given this thing a haircut, y'all, and because earlier it was already on the ground. This is such a fun plant. I mean, it doesn't really get tall at all. Brenna thinks it's a bunny, but it has just this beautiful kind of like a weeping ponytail habit to it. But you can see how tall it gets, very, very short, but it trails like crazy. And in fact, I have it in another container just right behind me. Here beside the Aurelia Sun King and next door to the White by the Gate Camellia, we have this container, and it is it's a tall, narrow container. It's cobalt blue, which you would never be able to know because of Silver Falls has completely taken over the container. But see here, paired with that caladium, gorgeous. Y'all, containers do not have to be complicated. You can keep it simple, sweetie, and it will be absolutely stunning. Now, do I love a good complex container with tons of different plants in it? Absolutely. But you don't always have to do that. Sometimes it's more simple is better. And this is a great example of that. Again, massive leaves on this caladium, gorgeous pink, nice heart-shaped, right? Got that green veining in there with some white, just glorious. Again, because I do have to keep this one watered, it is not on irrigation. This whole entire bed is not on irrigation. Even when it rains, I have to kind of add some water to it because it's so close to the house right there, and even just that little lip of the roof will sometimes keep the water out. So I do have to kind of maintain this one, give it a drink of water. Again, with that Silver Falls, it's a little aggressive as far as like with their root system and kind of sucks out some water. So just know if you plant with Silver Falls in your containers, you might just want to keep an eye on it and see how your other plants are responding as far as the water goes. But This container I love. Simple yet gorgeous. Now, let's go find some more caladiums. Here we are at the, we just call it the sign bed, very original, the entrance to the house and to the nursery, and we've got caladiums in here. Now this is definitely going to be more of a predominant shade garden, and we do get a little bit of sun here and there in the late afternoon. Caladiums doing really well here, and this bed is on irrigation. I like to tell you when things are on irrigation and not. I just think it is helpful as far as understanding kind of the growing conditions. Now, even though this bed is on irrigation, we have not turned it on probably in a month because of all the rain that we have gotten. But you can see here, I have used the exact same caladium throughout the entire bed. That way it brings some uniformity to the bed, because there's all these other different plants in here, but by using that same caladium over in multiple areas, it just ties the whole bed in together. And I just think it adds a lot. So for example, back here we've got, I'll have to look this one up. I can't remember now which specific one this is. I'll look it up for you. But you have, right, this gorgeous, nice wide green edging, pretty much. I think the first thing you see is like a white center, but it has the pink in there, right? Okay, hello, it pairs perfectly with this hydrangea back there. So it looks really nice and complements the other plants around it. And then here, that same one, right? But it's in more of a little bit of a sea of green. So we have that rhododendron, and then we have the Annabelle hydrangeas back there. And at this time of year, of course, the Annabelles have, they have matured, and they are kind of that nice, kind of that limey green color with their flowers. And so having this bit of that, more of that white pop in there from the caladium just brings a nice pop of color to the bed, and looks so, so lovely. So that is a huge recommendation for me as far as design wise, is when you have a flower bed, use the same plants repeatedly in different areas. So not only do we do it with the caladiums, but we did it with this. This is the new, because I know you're going to ask, y'all, I love this plant. This is going to be new next year, right? So on 2025, spring of 2025, you will be able to get this. This is a coleus. This is from Proven Winners. This is called Mini Me Chartreuse. It is a petite coleus. So if you're familiar with coleuses, especially that Color Blaze series from Proven Winners, they can get massive. This is nice and short for a coleus. I would say it's about 24 inches. I have not pinched this at all. No pinching. It is gorgeous chartreuse color, and we have it in 2 different areas, and it just brings such a lovely pop of color, especially to a shade garden, but it can do sun or shade. So there we go on that. Also used the double impatiens in multiple areas as well. All right, now what we're going to do is head on down to the signature garden, take a look at those caladiums, and talk about the mess that we're in. Here we are at the signature garden, and the caladiums are rocking it out over here, and I could not be happier with how these caladiums look. They are stunning. When I was kind of envisioning planning the signature garden and our plantings, I knew that I wanted to have the same caladium behind each of the 4 benches. So they are part of that circle, and around, like I said, that inside curved edge of the flower beds, and they are just rocking it out. We actually started these caladiums from the corms this spring. It takes a little while to start them from a corm. You absolutely can do it, but it just has to be hot, because this is why they look so amazing right now, is that they love the heat and the humidity. So when you're trying to get them to go ahead and sprout in like late winter or even like early spring, it really does take a long time. So you can plant them either directly in your container or your landscape, or do what we did and planted them in little containers, right? So we kept them in containers, got them planted in there, and then gave them a little bit of water, covered them with plastic, put them on some heat mats, and left them alone. So it takes a while. Of course, we put the plastic on to retain that moisture and keep that humidity level high. the heat mats really help, of course, heating up that soil, getting them nice and toasty. And then once they sprout, then we take the plastic off and just let them go. So you absolutely can start them from corms. It just takes a while, especially if you're in a cooler zone. And so that, for us here at the nursery, when we are selling them, we go ahead and get them as retail ready. It just makes the most sense. We've done so many different ways. But we just, for us as a business, it makes more sense to have them as retail ready. And they literally come in those gorgeous pallets from the friends at Proven Winners and Classic Caladiums, and then we can go ahead and sell them. But these are just doing phenomenal. Absolutely love them here in the Signature Garden. All right, so I brought in the big guns to talk about the it's not a disaster. It's not a, I mean, it's kind of catastrophic. When you look at it, you're like, oh my word, what happened? So if you can tell from just walking around in the garden what we're talking about, Jerry, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, the grass and armyworms. So yes. This particular year was a high alert that went out about the fall armyworms were going to be bad, but they actually, what made this so, I guess, quick was that it started really before. I mean, it was in the summer. Really, I think they got in here and they laid, the moths got in here and laid their eggs. And they, guys, that fall armyworms, or armyworms in general, they can wipe your grass out overnight. And so this has, the only way to prevent it is to do a insecticide sometime in May. Is the one that can also prevent your grubs from coming up and kill the Japanese beetles. So if you're treating for Japanese beetles and white grubs and that kind of stuff, you'll probably won't have armyworms. So we had to come back in here with a insecticide that just took them out to get rid of all the worms. This is the only way you can deal with it. So we took them out. We're probably are going to just resod the whole thing, and because there's just a few patches of green that are left, and it'll allow us to kind of fix some other small issues that we have in here. And
so how do you know, like if you think you have armyworms, like what we did, what's a simple little test?
Simple test is it's a one tablespoon or it's 3 tablespoons of dishwashing detergent, something like Dawn, and mix into a gallon of water and just kind of mix it. And then you come into your grass and you just pour it into the spot. I would do a spot that's kind of brown-ish on the edge, but green still. Where because if you put it into brown, the likelihood is they're not there because the food is gone.
So they've moved on.
They've moved on and they're in the green. I'm literally like, as soon as I saw the fall armyworm, because we had been talking about this and we thought traffic had taken out the grass up front. But it went away so fast. There was something in me that was just like, this is just not right.
So then what did you do?
Oh, so, I mean, so we pour it in here, and then once you pour that dishwashing detergent down in the ground, they'll just appear. They'll come up, it'll agitate them, it will kill them, and then they
just wiggle up from the ground.
They just wiggle up from the ground. The very first spot I did, I had armyworms. The second spot, I had like a whole, family of them. So I just like, okay, it's definitely that, which I felt like it was, because that's where I had seen the alert, and then that we had just been talking about it, and I was like, that's what it is. And we're so busy, we just sort of, I just wasn't thinking that,
Right,
but
you've had plenty of exposure to armyworms. You know what armyworms are.
Yeah, we've had it. Yes, this is
them.
But
look, completely, y'all.
Yeah, it's dead.
It is completely
There
dead.
is no, so I don't want to hear any kind of comments back that you can save this. Just want you to know it comes up.
And so in fact, the worst spot, the first spot was right here, in the center, right? Right behind you.
Right here, because this is where we thought, because this is the entry point.
Right, we thought it was foot traffic.
We thought it was foot traffic, and it was, the grass was a little, we have eventually, once we do our walkway, the walkway is coming to here.
Yeah.
But it was armyworms that killed it. Because overnight, it just turned here, and this was the
Yeah,
first
see, look,
spot.
you can see.
They just take them out.
See, you can see this is the plastic webbing that was the sod. So like that, yeah, it's gone. There is no saving. Now, right here, you can see that they've stopped. So we were able to get the insecticide out in time to stop it from there. But
look at it though.
yeah,
I mean, it's just low roots.
Yeah.
They've gotten to it.
So my question to you has been, I've asked you this like, I don't know, 1 or 2 times, just for clarification. So this signature garden, we sodded in November, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was gorgeous, it was thick, it was stunning. And then it got completely taken out by the armyworms. But our grass at the house is really, I mean, it is looking phenomenal for August. So why does this look so bad and our house doesn't?
Yeah, the armyworms go after, they're in that grass. That's a very mature grass. So they have a much more harder time on taking it out. The newer stuff and new seedlings. So if you're in the South right now or in this area, I don't know as far as,
how far north they go.
I don't know. But anyway, if you're going to do your overseeding in fall grass seed this fall, you need to be treating for armyworms right now. They will annihilate new seedling. You sometimes barely even see it come up, and it will be gone, like overnight, gone.
Yeah.
So you need to treat.
So that is what has happened, and so we were starting to we just figured this out, last week?
Yeah.
That we for sure that it was the armyworms, but a couple of y'all on videos have been like, on your comments, been like,
what happened?
What's going on with the grass?
Yeah,
so we wanted to update you on what has happened, and while it certainly is like, it's not, and I say the word catastrophic, but it is, because it wiped out the entire lawn. So then
nobody wants to lose the whole yard.
Nobody wants to lose your whole yard, but I see this as a teachable moment, right?
Yeah.
If it's happened to us and armyworms, because Jerry got an email saying, hey, and it was actually from the sod company that we bought the sod from.
Yes, yeah, they're getting it from
list,
North Carolina State University, the ag area, the turf files, they specialize in all that, and they send out these alerts. And I had seen one way early on. I guess there were some discussions, the way the weather has been this year, that it was going to be real bad. And we were just so busy with the signature event, in life and everything, and just things going on, that it just left. So I didn't really recognize it until I saw the second one, and then I thought, oh gosh, that's what it is. It's not humid weather, it's not hot, it's not people walking on it or too wet, because it had gotten really wet again. It wasn't any of that. It was insects.
Yeah. So we just want you to once again learn from our mess. We talk about messes and successes, and there's a lot of great successes in this garden right now. The caladiums, all the plants are doing great. However, the grass, armyworms. So may you learn from this experience here at Creekside.
So for us, we're going to have to, get the rest of this taken out, kill it. Is the kind of the plan, because when you put sod down, you can see the plastic netting, because normally you might spray all this and take the grass out and bring a Harley rake in and kind of chew it up, but that has plastic in it.
That would be an absolute disaster.
Would be a mess.
Yeah.
And so, but we have some elevation issues in here, and just the way the things sink, because we had raised this up when we put it in. So it's not going to hurt us to come back in here and put an inch or two of nice enriched topsoil like we did last time, and then our nice layer of sod. It should help. It'll help the beds, the planting beds too.
Yeah, it will. So that's on the to-do list.
To-do list very quickly.
Very quickly. So if you come visit Creekside, just know that we have brown grass here in the signature garden, and so if you see it on videos and that kind of thing, just know that that's what it is. It is armyworms. We're taking care of it. We've got a plan. They're dead. They're not continuing to eat, and so you live, you learn, you move on, and 'tis life. 'Tis gardening. Never dull. never boring. But if you don't have caladiums in your life, and especially if you're in that humid environment, you need to have them. They are such great, great plants. And yeah, I hope you enjoy them, because remember, you don't have to have flowers to get gorgeous color in your garden. It's a huge thing, and they're just such low maintenance, easy plants that they're great. So as always, we hope you found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.